everybody, it's Kelly and I'm back with another Cheeky Studio process video. This is with the Cheeky Studio December 2018 kit, which is called Christmas Beauty. And when I unboxed this, if you watched that, I saw that little truck with the tree paper on it and knew I wanted to use it for a photo of one of my Christmas trees. So I am going to first back my photo of the tree on that red star paper, and that paper is from the Wild Whisper Christmas Comfort collection. So those collections don't have paper names. Now what I'm doing, when I was tapping the paper there, is I decided I really need some sort of backing for the truck paper because it looks like the trucks are driving off the edge, and I wanted to stop those trucks from doing that. So you can do that by using a border. I do that frequently. If you watch my channel, you know that I have a thing about highly patterned papers with motion. Driving off edges and stuff like that. Anyway, so I just grabbed a piece of green cardstock, Basil cardstock from my stash, and then I cut the paper down so that there's going to be a frame on the layout. So there we go, and I believe I cut it down by 3/4 of an inch on the top, and like on one of the top or bottom and one of the sides. Then I'm going to put that on the blue paper, and I was tapping that envelope there because that actually is the envelope that the twine there, or not the twine, but the fiber came in. And I really liked that little glassine bag. It's a bag, not an envelope. And decided, well, maybe I could actually stamp on that with the stamps from the Christmas Comfort stamps that come in the kit, which again are Wild Whisper. Then I'm thinking about some sort of journaling spot here. And that is the ephemera, Christmas Beauty ephemera from the kit. And as I was doing that, I decided that they were a little bit too big to get the stamp on there that I originally wanted to. So I went through, there's a stamp that says Merry and another stamp that says Christmas. They're separate because they're in two different fonts. But I'm going to put those two on the bag instead because it's just a little bit smaller. So then what I'm doing is I'm gluing everything down here to that blue snow paper, which I love that paper. And guys, did you notice I actually am going to leave the border on the bottom of this paper, the blue snow paper, the presents. I like that it gives it a little bit of a pop and it acts as kind of a shelf for everything to sit on. So that's what I'm doing there, trying to decide what to do there. And I just laid my block down. I have a little foam pad here, which used to be a, well, I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't think it was a mouse pad, but you can use mouse pads. So I have a little foam pad there. That helps with your stamping. And since this is the first time I've stamped, and I'm wanting to stamp with StazOn, because that bag is glossy, but my StazOn appears to have dried up. I haven't used it in a while because honestly, guys, I don't stamp. So I don't stamp very often. So look, Mom, I'm using the stamp here. My mom's not going to watch this, but you know, hey. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out my archival ink here, and that works out just fine. This is actually a new ink pad. So hey, I'm really proud of myself for actually stamping here. This has a pretty good texture to it, that pad does, so I just moved my stamp around a little bit to ink it, and then did it. And I'm inking that stamp just a little bit to the right of the bag because I know I'm going to tuck the bag partially under that photo. One of the things I love about working with kits is that they take you out of your comfort zone and have you do things that maybe you might not have. Now, I think you have to be careful about doing too much of that or you start to lose your style. But definitely, I own stamps. I just don't do them all that often. So when I got this stamp, I thought I really need to use it. Now back to the bag, and that washi tape came on the bag, so I haven't changed anything. I'm going to my giant box of sequins, and I got a huge deal on sequins, like a box of sequins in different colors at Scrapbook Expo 2 years ago. So I have a lot of sequins, but I did not pay much money for them. So I'm adding in some green sequins, and then I went back to some red sequins that I have, and I really like those. And then decided to actually add I had some wood sequins in here that I haven't used, and those I know came from Studio Calico years ago. The other two are just miscellaneous things. But it's nice to kind of get those used up. And so I did glue down a little bit with my ATG on the envelope, but I wanted to be careful because I didn't want you to see it. So I went back and added my Scotch tacky glue to seal that envelope. And in the still shots, take a look, because I did add, I took my, I can't even think of my Tim Holtz tiny attacher, and I added 2 staples to that washi tape as well, just for extra decoration. So I did change a little bit of what I was doing with the ephemera there, and I decided instead of using 2 journaling spots that I'd add a floral cluster in that cluster as well. And then what I did is, now that I kind of know where those clusters are going to land and I have the mat basically done, I went and I trimmed this square a little bit. And now I'm just going to wrap the fiber around my my mat here. And I do like the fact that the Wild Whisper paper is very heavy. It's a beautiful weight of paper, and it is glossy, which is interesting and cool. So it's a little bit different than a lot of the other things that have been appearing in my scrapbook, because a lot of those are not glossy. So I've learned, I'm actually in love with Wild Whisper papers, which is maybe a good and bad thing. Thanks, Tuesday, for being an enabler, even though you didn't intend to do that. The nice thing is that I have gotten them in my last couple kits. So what I'm doing now is I decided that I wanted to put an extra cluster on the extra die cut there in the cluster on the bottom right, so that it touched the paper behind it. Again, if you touch more than one layer with your embellishments, it helps bring everything together. So I'm just overlapping the little border strip there, and I'm doing the same thing on the top where I'm overlapping the top as well. It's just connecting the layers even better. So I just added another die cut in, and I popped that one up on some foam and adhesive. Do you see my foam tape there, guys? That is the end of one of those giant rolls of foam tape, and I bought it 4 years ago at this time of year. So that thing, and you know, if you watch my videos, you know I use foam tape all the time. That thing lasted me 4 years. So I already have another one ready to go, obviously. As I'm taping this, I am scrapbooking with a friend this weekend, so I probably will finish up the small roll there and need to go on to the larger one. All right, so a little bit of foam tape there because the underneath it was a little bit uneven because of the fiber. And as I'm working with these clusters here, it's reminding me, guys, make sure you check out the still shots, because you'll see the little staples from the tiny attacher. But as I was cleaning up, I realized I forgot to use the flare badge that I wanted to on the layout somewhere, so I added that in at the end, which then reminds me, at the end I will also have a little code for you, which is Kelly10, and you can receive 10% off any of your orders at Cheeky Studio except for the kit. So, and that's good all the time, so you can use that code all the time. So I went back and I grabbed the foam alpha from last month's kit, and to add my title in here, which is going to be Love This View, because I'm sitting on my sofa looking at my Christmas tree here. This is, by the way, the third layout that I created, so you'll see things that were cut up maybe that weren't in the second layout, this is the third layout I created, but it's going to be the second one going up, because the second layout I created is going up third. And the reason that is that last layout has a bit of surprise in it that concerns somebody in my life, and I don't want to reveal it yet. I need to wait a little bit yet, so by the time that video goes up, it will be revealed. So if you're looking and going and confused eventually by the way I cut the papers up or what they look like, that's why. I know that was a lot, but it took up time while I, put my alpha on my wax paper and figured out where it was going to go. Some of you are very observant and notice things, so I have to be careful about that kind of stuff. So I do like how this is a bold black alpha here because all those patterns are very busy. And I think it looks really busy in these shots here. It's not as busy in person. It stands out a little bit less in person. All right, I am just adding the journaling here. Here's the still shot and a couple of detail shots. Hope you guys are all well and hope you're enjoying this season. This is a beautiful kit. Grab it if you can. I'll post the links in the video too.